Hi everybody, today I want to show you what agents in LangChain are. To be able to follow this video, you should have a basic understanding of LangChain, vector databases and language models in general. If you don't feel prepared, I would recommend you to watch my introduction to this topic. You can find the code for this video in the description. So first, what are agents? An agent is a language model plus a set of tools that the model can use to find its answer. The tools are controlled by the LLM and used to find the answer in an iterative process. So the agent is essentially the language model that controls the decision making in a self-paced way. So you can think of an agent as a recursive function. Agents are very powerful, but also harder to control than just prompting an LLM. So I'm here at Visual Studio Code, and first we're gonna load my API key from my environment file to be able to talk to OpenAI. And after that, as you can see, I've stored a vector store.pickle file. And I will gonna load that in memory in the vector store variable. This vector store contains the embeddings of these text files. This is a Q&A about a fictional animal, a so-called Tuninchen, a mixture of a dog and a rabbit. And we're gonna query our database to get information about this animal. So after loading the vector store, I will show you what tools are. Tools are something like a calculator or a request API, or something the model is not usually capable of. So for example, large language models are pretty bad at doing math because they are good at predicting text, but not at predicting numbers. So if you want to do some calculations, the best option is that you take some third-party tool. LangChain already has a lot of tools, for example, this LLM math tool. And we can just load it with the load tools function. Here you can see a complete description of every tool. It's pretty easy to use. Just run the load tool functions. For some of the tools you need an API key, but for this you just need the LLM. So what we're first going to do is we instantiate the LLM with the OpenAI class, and I use a text DaVinci model. And yeah, so these are the tool names. I just use LLM math, load the tool inside a list of tools. And then here I have it. When I run this, I should just see a list of tools. And now, what we're gonna do now is we instantiate this list of tools with the tool class. I have to define a function which will be called when we run our tool. The standard way of running a tool is to call a run function. This is in the interface of the base tool class. I will show you later what about this is. And then there's a description, and the description is important for the LLM to know what the tool is capable of. Okay, after instantiating a list of tools, we can now import the initialize agent method, and we can initialize an agent. And the initialize agent method takes a list of tools, the LLM, and a description of an agent. This agent uses the React framework to determine which tool to use based on the tool's description. So as I already said, this is very important for the LLM to know what description or what tool to use. Okay, now we run our agent and I will ask, how are you? And then here you can see the thought process. This question is not mathematical, so I don't have the right tool. And the input is none. And now the LLM will try to answer this question without using a tool. As you can see, this is an iterative process. And it answers, I'm fine, thank you. So this works, and if the tool description would be different, maybe it would try to use it, but that's not helpful for this. And now I try to divide 100 by 25, and the LLM has to figure out that this is a mathematical question and should now use the tool. As you can see, I need to use division to solve this. Action, math tool, action input, and then the observation is here 4.0, and then it answers 100 geteilt durch 25 is 4.0. So 100 divided by 25 is 4. So this is correct, and as you can see, this is the iterative process, and at the end you get a final answer. Okay, this works fine, but what if you want to use a custom tool? For example, I want to use a tool that queries my database. So I have to use a custom tool. Here is a code example for a custom tool. You have to import the base tool class and have to write a class which inherits from the base tool class. I've called it here custom search tool, and this has two functions I have to override, and these are the underscore run function and the underscore arun function. This is for asynchronous tasks, and this is for a synchronous task. I will not use the async method here, but just query my database synchronously. This run function will get a query. This will just be the string. This is the question you prompt to the LLM, and then optional run manager class here, which I don't use, and then you just write the code. So I take my vector store, convert it in a retriever, and then from the store I will query the relevant documents from my store based on the input we provide to our LLM. And then we'll store that in docs, and I will just iterate over the doc page content and store that in a list. So we just get the text from the vector store and not the classes. And at the end, I will return it and use a new line operator and join that with the text list. So I've got a new line for every answer from the document store. So if we want to use our custom tool now, we have to instantiate this class and store the tools again inside a tools list, and then initialize an agent again with the list of tools, the LLM, and again the agent type. So this is what we're going to do now. And now I will ask, what is a Huninchen? So the model has to query the database to get this answer, because it won't be able to answer it from the knowledge base it already has. So it will normally try to use a tool here. And as you can see, entering new agent executor chain, I should research this question, action input. And as you can see, it uses the custom search tool here and query the database. These are the documents the model retrieved from the database. And then it's a thought process. I know the final answer, and then we get our final answer. So pretty powerful, isn't it? One thing you should be aware if you use an agent is that it takes longer than just prompting. And if you use the API, it might cost more because, as I already said, there is an iterative process, and it will call or prompt the model again and again to find the final answer. Okay, that's it. That are agents. And if you liked the video, feel free to subscribe to my channel and like the video. Thank you very much. Bye bye.